Heather asked a question about barking. I was recently listening to Drinking from the Toilet. It's a podcast by Hannah Branigan, who did 3 episodes on barking, and she gets much more into the science behind these behaviors, and it's kind of geared more for trainers. And if you'd like to check out Drinking from the Toilet, I'll leave a link for that down in the description. But I wanted to kind of go over some of the things that I'm most frequently asked about in a way that just the average dog owner could digest.
I could be a mess, stressed in yesterday. He don't care less. He sees me anyway. Yeah, he sees me anyway. My dog thinks I'm great. He thinks I'm number one. He never hates, even when I'm done.
Welcome to Dog Leads with my dad, Steve Bishop. He's a certified dog trainer, has a BA in psychology with a minor in sociology, is a family paws parent, educator, and a member of the Pet Professional Guild. If you have any questions or would like to suggest a topic, you can reach him at bishopsgatetraining@gmail.com.
This episode is brought to you by It Goes Without Saying, what our dogs are trying to tell us. It will be presented on November 1st, and then there will be a repeat on January 10th. If you'd like to improve the relationship with your dog and learn their language, this presentation is for you. It's going to be held at Waters Moss. Pre-registration is required, and I will leave a link in the description. We'll go ahead and start with barking. Some dogs are just bred for barking. They are predisposed to it. We've got hundreds of years, if not more, of genetics behind this behavior, whether it's hounds that bay because they are chasing prey. And then you've got terriers, dogs that are bred to go to ground. They bark so that the handler knows where they are. So in some cases, in a lot of cases, you're really fighting against genetics. So I've mentioned before that most of a dog's communication is visual, but they do have some vocalizations that they use. And unfortunately, the barking can be kind of loud and annoying, so we want to be able to stop that when necessary. My wife and I, when we bought our first house, it was in the not so great neighborhood, and I didn't mind if Talbot barked out the window at people that were passing by and whatnot, but once I checked it out, I wanted him to stop. What I did with him, what I recommend, kind of have to be ready for it. So know when, I don't know, the trash truck is going to come by, the mailman's going to deliver the mail, kids are going to be coming home from school, something like that. You want to be ready. You want to have some treats ready for you, for the dog. Once he starts barking, you're going to wait for a pause. Every dog is going to stop eventually, whether it's to take a breath or just kind of reassess the situation or whatever. So you wait for that really brief pause. And then I use the word hush. I think I've mentioned before, you can use any word you want to as long as you're consistent. So the dog's barking, stops for a brief second, you say hush, give him a treat. And then you just keep repeating that. What you'll find is those breaks, those pauses are going to become more frequent and last longer. And then once the dog is quiet, you can call them away. The next thing, and the thing I'm probably asked the most about, is jumping up. Jumping up is what we call an attention-seeking behavior. They're seeking attention, they're trying to interact with us. Dogs know that we give off and take in information above our neck, so they're trying to interact with us on that level. So we don't want to punish them for that, but what we want to do is reinforce the behavior when they ask for it appropriately. The technique that used to be really popular, and I used it for a long time, was I said just ignore the dog, turn your back on them, get really boring, wait till they calm down. The problem is you can't know if they're calming down if you don't look at the dog. I had a dog in one of my classes. Didn't matter how covertly I tried to look at this dog. Once I made eye contact, that dog just went nuts. The jumping and the barking and all excited and whatnot. And so I had to come up with a different technique. What I came up with is the dog jumps up. What you're going to do is take a step back so they have nothing to lean against. And then as soon as all 4 feet hit the floor, put a word with it. So I use the word off. Off for me, for my dogs, it just means all 4 feet on the floor. I don't care if they're standing, they're sitting, they're laying down, as long as all 4 feet are on the floor. Now the key is, once they're in that position, then you want to give them the attention that they're asking for. And if they jump up again, then you just kind of wash, rinse, repeat. I used to say this works 100% of the time, but I know there's going to be that one dog that proves me wrong. Well, my best friend Jeff just got a new puppy. That's the one. She is just so spastic. It's so excitable that it hasn't really worked with her yet. And I think a lot of it is just getting her to calm down enough, and then we can start applying this technique to her. But we're kind of waiting to get past that puppy stage, so don't be discouraged if it's not working right away. There's a couple of caveats with this method. First of all, you have to get everybody on board with this. That would be family members, friends, neighbors. Get kids at the park to help you if you think they're responsible enough. The more people you get to do this, the dog is going to generalize it to everybody. So, for example, after one of my classes, I usually go over to my friend Jeff's house. And when I first started doing that, he had Eunice. She was all excited. I smelled like treats. I smelled like other dogs. She'd jump up on me and just going nuts. I did this with her, taught her not to jump up on me. And so after about 4 weeks of working with her, she stopped jumping up. His girlfriend at the time, she came over. Eunice jumped all over her, and she's like, why is Eunice jumping on me? I thought Steve trained her not to do that. And Jeff, rightfully so, said, well, he taught Eunice not to jump up on him. Here's what you have to do. So the more people you can get to do this with your dog, the more they're going to apply it in other situations. So we call that generalizing. The other thing, and where I see this fall apart the most, is when the dog learns this, and they come up and they do ask for attention appropriately. You've got to give them that attention. So a lot of times people will be, I don't know, they're talking on the phone, they're in the kitchen cooking, the dog walks up and stands there or sits or whatever the dog has chosen to do to ask for that attention. And I'll circle back to this in a minute, but the dog does whatever it is they've learned to do, and the person just ignores them because they're doing something else. And so the dog basically starts to think, well, this isn't working anymore, but that old habit of jumping up did, so I'm going to go back and start doing that again. And usually that behavior comes back a lot more intense. So make sure you're giving that dog the attention they're asking for when they ask for it appropriately. If you do want a particular behavior like a sit when they want to come up and ask for attention, instead of saying the off, you can just ask for that behavior. So the dog jumps up, takes a step back, and you would say sit, for example. Make sure they have that sit really well reinforced. They know it really, really well before you start applying it in this situation. So then, like I said, the dog jumps up, take a step back, you ask for the sit, and then give them that attention that they're asking for. And that's the reward. They're getting what they want. It does have a very high success rate. Some dogs take a little bit more time. Like Eunice, like I said, it was 4 weeks, but that was just the minute or less that it took me to walk into Jeffy's house. It didn't take a whole lot of effort before she learned that come up, greet him appropriately, I get that attention. And let's talk about potty training. And I've mentioned before, mostly I specialize in puppies, so this tends to be a really big issue. A dog's bladder does not fully develop until they're between 6 and 9 months old, and that depends on size and breed and those types of things. But they don't have full control until that point. So chances are you're going to have accidents, or the dog is going to have accidents until they reach that point. And then you can also apply this to older dogs. If you see a little bit of regression, you just want to kind of back up in the training, go through that potty training all over again. So what I like to do with my dogs, I will put them on a leash and take them outside. And we have a fenced in backyard, but I want to make sure the dog actually goes to the bathroom. So the biggest problem I see with this, people come to me and say the dog's going to the bathroom in the house. Well, did you let them out? Yes. Did they go to the bathroom? Well, I don't know. I was cooking dinner, I was watching TV, let the dog out, and when they asked to come back in, I let them in, and they went to the bathroom right away. So they don't actually know if the dog went to the bathroom. Particularly puppies, they get outside and they're just so excited, and it's, oh, a leaf moved, oh, a rabbit ran through here. They get really distracted. And then they come back into the house and they think, oh yeah, I had to go to the bathroom. And so they just go. You want to make sure they actually go. Like I said, I like to put the dog on a leash. I will take them outside, and I will take them to an area where they've been to the bathroom before. There's, the saying, don't shit where you sleep. Even puppies try to apply that. So they will go in the same general area, and then the rest of the yard is for playing and running around and whatnot. So take them to that area where they've gone to the bathroom before, and then walk them around. That motion is going to stimulate them to go, and the smell is going to stimulate them to go. And then kind of keep an eye on them, see when they start that sniffing and circling and whatnot. I'll put a word with it. I use hurry, but as soon as I see that circling or that sniffing, then I want to be quiet. I don't want to distract them. I've actually had some dogs, and I've heard other trainers have had the same problem with dogs that don't want to be watched while they're going to the bathroom. So be prepared for that. Kind of turn your back, just keep a covert eye on them and make sure they actually go to the bathroom. And then once they go, let them off the leash. That's the reward, of course, if it's safe. They can chase the leaf and smell where the rabbit went and all those things that they would do otherwise. One of the nice things about putting this on a cue, for example, my wife and I, we don't have any family in the immediate area. So under normal circumstances, we tend to travel a lot. And it's nice at 2 o'clock in the morning, we can stop for gas. I can get the dog out, tell him hurry, get them back into the car, and we're back on the road before anybody wakes up. I'm not standing there waiting for him to actually go to the bathroom. With puppies in particular, you want to make sure they're going to the bathroom often enough. So we always say, make sure you take them out after any activity. And for puppies, activity means getting a drink, eating, playing for 5 minutes, waking up from a nap. Pretty much anything they do, take them out afterwards and wait until they actually go. I was listening to an old radio show with Patricia McConnell, and she was saying that take them out for about 15 minutes, then don't go to the bathroom, take them back inside, wait about 5 minutes or so, and then take them out again, wait for them to go to the bathroom. So you're not standing out there all day just waiting for them. In my experience, at least with the dogs I've had, taking them out to that spot where they've been to the bathroom before, usually that's enough to stimulate them to go, and then they can have the playtime. Even with all this, like I said, puppies are going to have accidents. Just be prepared for it. So one of the things you want to be sure of is that you have what's called an enzymatic cleaner. People have about 5 million scent receptors. Dogs have about 200 million. They can smell 1 molecule of urea, whereas we cannot. So like I said before, that scent is going to stimulate them to go. So if they've gone to the bathroom in the house, even though you've sprayed it with some florally scent and you can't smell it anymore, your dog can. Now, the thing about the enzymatic cleaners is they break down that smell on a molecular level. So it's not just that the smell is covered up, it's gone. So that's just a few of the things that I'm frequently asked about. If you'd like to hear me talk about play biting, chewing, anything else, or you have another topic that's unrelated to these common problems, feel free to send me an email at bishopsgatetraining@gmail.com, and thank you for joining me.